Wow, this cake tastes like heaven. I reached out to grab another piece when I heard a growl behind me. I told you to be graceful, didn't I? Then, Mom pulled me over to greet this smartly dressed couple. Ugh, again. They looked me up and down, then said, I heard that you're a gifted pianist. We would love to hear you play. Huh? Piano? I'd never played it before in my life. Before I could say a word, Mom chimed in. Unfortunately, Phoebe's just sprained her wrist. Maybe next time. I looked at her confused. Why would she lie like that? Jeez. Mom, why did you say that I could play the piano? Ah, yes. I may have bragged to them that all of my adopted children are excellent. What can I say? All moms boasted about their kids, right? And yep, I'd grown up in an orphanage before Mom welcomed me into her family. This place is pretty grand, huh? I found it overwhelming at first, and ended up getting lost trying to find my room. Luckily, there are plenty of my adoptive sisters around to show me where to go. I do have 10 of them. Yep, you heard me right. 10. It was as if I had just moved from one orphanage to another, only no more orphaned. And we're all similar ages, which is unusual, as foster parents often prefer younger kids. They said us teenagers are rather stubborn. Not to mention how my adoptive dad is never around. Seriously, I couldn't even tell you what he looks like. So it's just us girls here. I got on best with Collins. She's a couple of years older than me, and we share the same bedroom. As much as I liked living with Mom and my sisters, Mom did make us all do strange things, such as wear cheesy clothes and walk in a straight line. Worse still, she forced me to learn the piano. Ugh, I was not at all musical. I just made a right din. She also taught me how to eat properly, but it did kind of feel like a dog training session. I was only allowed to eat when she showed a signal, and by the time I could catch up with how to use the silverwares, the meal was already finished. Ugh. But I suppose that's how every mom teaches her daughter, right? And apparently, Mom didn't have the patience to coach me anymore. So she handed me over to Collins, her star daughter. We spent an hour every day talking together, or rather, she gave me pointers on how to talk correctly. Collins said I needed to control my volume because I had a tendency to shout my words, and it wasn't very ladylike. I had to whisper at the same volume as her, and also choose my words carefully to show intelligence and grace. Ugh, maybe it'd be easier if I just didn't say anything at all from now on. Aside from Collins, I didn't have a chance to get to know my other sisters, as Mom made each of us pursue a different aptitude. Then we had to perform for her on our monthly assessment. Mom's overall very gentle and caring, but too strict when it comes to training. So we all have to spend a lot of time and effort in practice. One day I was trying to make sense of the music sheet when I heard Lexi complain, Ugh, why does Mom force me on this mission impossible? So boring. What? At least ice skating is 1,000 times more fun than the piano. If only. An idea popped into my head. That night, I went to my mom and timidly said, Mom, I want to switch from piano lessons to ice skating. I can exchange with Lexi. What? No. But why? Lexi doesn't even like ice skating. Well, it's because I can see potential in each one of you, so it's impossible to switch. Frustrated, I went back to my room and began whining to Collins, but she thought that it wasn't a big deal. Mom knows what's best for us. Well, that I'm not too sure about, yet we didn't even get to go to school. As Mom said, her homeschooling was enough. While I only found her method rather strange, I've dreamed of this perfect life with an amazing mom, but Mom was never very affectionate. It didn't matter how much we studied or tried to perfect our chosen hobby. She never cuddled or praised us, not even Collins, who's the smartest girl here. I was desperate to impress Mom, so one time I spent ages making this Portuguese appetizer for her, but all she did was take one bite and say it was okay. I asked her if she didn't like me, but she just replied in a growl tone that she was helping us to have a high position in society and a bright life. But I don't need those things. I just wanted her to like me. This place is so stuffy, and the only time that I can actually breathe is when I'm on my Friday morning bread buying errand. Ugh. Then suddenly someone patted me on my shoulder, which startled me so much I dropped my stuff. Hey, it's really you. But is something wrong with you? Why the strange walk? The only thing I'm good at is buying bread, but now you've ruined it. See? Jet stooped down to pick it up for me. He was still as rude as ever, but I still found myself jealous of this free spirit off him. We used to be a perfect match at our orphanage, and quite embarrassing to admit, but I was very naughty back then, and often shoplifted with him. You could go steal some more. Remember our tricks? I have to tell you 3 things. Firstly, I've been adopted. Secondly, my adoptive family is wealthy. And finally, I'm being educated to be a noble lady, so no more stealing. That's ridiculous. I also have 3 things for you. I've been adopted too. My parents love me so much. Oh, and they're cops. We looked at each other and burst out laughing. So we were both caught, weren't we? Jet and I sat down on a nearby bench to catch up, and when I poured my heart out about my new family, he interrupted me. Sounds strange to me. Why would they only adopt teenage girls? And what are those training lessons and monthly evaluations for? Then, Jet insisted that he would investigate my adoptive family. That's silly. But anyway, it's fun to reunite with a friend, and we agreed to hang out every Friday after that. And here comes my first assessment. Of course, I couldn't even play a simple melody, so I had to study for 3 more hours every day. My sisters suffered even more. Kinsley was forced to abstain from food because she weighed 2 kilograms more than the standard. In contrast, Willow had to eat continuously at night in order to gain 5 kilograms. If it's to this extent, then it must have not been simply for the sake of the casual boasting of a mom, right? On the next Bread Friday, I told Jet about last week's assessment. He firmly stated that there was a problem with my family. I don't think so, Jet. Mom just wants the best for us. Listen, Phoebe, I think she trained you guys on purpose. Each of you has to be good at a certain subject, just like the shopping orders. Orders? Don't go too far. You know Kobe beef? Cows are made to listen to music, given beer to drink, and massaged, but in the end, you know what the outcome is. Oh no. Is that what this is? Mom always said that she would give us the best life as long as we worked hard. Were we being tested and stamped like those cows? One day, I came home to Collins excitedly packing her suitcase. Mom said she's taking me to a new school tomorrow. So Collins was leaving? But where? I'll miss you, sis. Text me when you get there? But days passed without a word from her. I asked Mom, and she said that Collins' hard work paid off, and she'd been accepted into a prestigious school, but they had a strict no phones rule. Huh, that sounded sus. So I told Jet, and he insisted I report the case. Another Friday, Jet and I met at a church near the bakery. Why did he choose this boring place? I was looking around when I saw a group of schoolgirls coming out of the church. They all wore the same dull uniform, had their hair neatly tied back in a bun, and all obediently lined up. Then there I saw her. Collins? I was about to rush over to greet her, but the glare of the woman accompanying her scared me off. This was not right. I'd got to ask Collins what was going on. So I grabbed Jet's arm and went after the group. But they got into a black car and sped away. Maybe they chose this church as a place for their transactions. Smart, huh? They put everyone in school uniforms so no one would suspect them. But seeing those faces, I'm sure they're about to be sent to the black market soon. Black market? The thought alone made me shudder. I had to save Collins. I couldn't let Mom get away with this. That night, I tiptoed downstairs to eavesdrop. Okay, I'll deliver her this weekend. Correct. She's 5'7". She can ice skate, cooking and painting. Of course, I have her trained as required. You won't be disappointed. So the deal goes as planned, okay? See you on Sunday. That's it. The next delivery was Lexi. I checked her room and saw her packing her stuff, a beam of innocent happiness on her face. I quickly texted Jet, and he immediately replied, "Just wait at home calmly. Don't act without thinking. I'll figure something out." That night, I couldn't sleep a wink. I was so terrified something terrible would happen to Lexi. So early the next morning, as soon as I saw Mom and Lexi getting in the car to leave, I snuck into the trunk, lay there without making any sound, and sent Jet the location. The car took a long time to stop. Had we finally arrived at the transaction location? When it seemed safe, I carefully climbed out and saw Mom talking to a fastidious-looking middle-aged woman. What did Mom say that made Lexi so panicked that she kept clutching Mom's hand? The woman handed Mom a rather thick envelope, then grabbed Lexi's hand and dragged her away. God, where was Jet? I couldn't just sit still like this and watch my sister being taken away. Let Lexi go! Now! Phoebe, What are you doing? Stop it. You're going to sell us, aren't you? I already know the truth. What on earth are you talking about, Phoebe? Furious, Mom pulled me away. Stop. Suddenly, 2 cops rushed in, ordering everyone to put their hands up. Behind them was Jet, still panting. Turns out they were Jet's adoptive parents. Help me! Mom's trying to sell me and my sister. Seeing that, the other woman quickly explained, No, there must be a misunderstanding here. I'm just helping Gianna's daughter to enroll at my school. Bewildered, my eyes darted from Mom to the other woman and then to Jet. In the principal's office, I told everyone why I thought my mom was a human trafficker. They all gasped in surprise. I made you practice that hard just because I want you to get in here, the most prestigious all-girls school, so that you can have a better life. I don't want to go to this school anymore, Mom. She told me all about the harsh rules. This place is terrifying. You can't force your kids to do that. You adopted them, so you have to make them feel safe and loved. Miss Gianna, this is a prestigious school, and it doesn't need your scandal. You led me to believe that your daughters were naturally gifted, which now transpires is all lies. I won't accept any child from your family from now on. No, they're my children. They deserve the best. Then she begged the principal to withdraw her decision, but she firmly shook her head. Suddenly, Mom shouted, Why? I just want them not to suffer like me, so what's wrong with that? Then Mom burst into tears. It turns out that in the past, Mom was in love with a politician, but he decided it would further his career if he chose to marry a graduate from this prestigious school instead. Mom loved him so much, she continued to be his mistress. But despite being fully provided for by him, Mom always felt that she was inferior to his official wife, especially when he proudly boasted about his smart wife and talented daughters. Then, when she wanted to start her own family, he wouldn't allow it. In the end, she decided to adopt girls and train them to become excellent so that they could enter this school regardless of their background. So that's the reason why she did this to us. I have to admit, I did feel a bit sorry for her. All of this was probably just to ease the pain of her past. But Mom, we don't want to go to this snooty school. We just want you to love us and protect us. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was only trying to help. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. And she hugged me. So, in the end, my sisters and I finally have a truly happy family. Mom doesn't make us do any dumb tasks anymore. Instead, she lets us pursue our own dreams and passions. Now we all go to a public school and live out our normal teen lives. It's wonderful finally having an amazing mom, incredible sisters, and my pretty awesome best friend, Jet, all by my side.
I was completely immersed in this beautiful harmony that me and my dad were playing until... What on earth are you two doing? Startled, I turned around to see Siren standing there with fiery eyes. Oh, God. I came back to my senses at once and realized that next to me, the man I was jamming with was not my dad, but Isaac, her boyfriend. Oh no, what had I done? I quickly wiped my tears away and was about to leave. But Isaac took my hand and gave me this confused look. Being back here in this house was difficult enough without getting involved in this love triangle, so I tried to pull my hand free and ran out of there. Yes, it's me again, Hazel. In the last part of my story, my friends embroiled me into helping their idol Isaac and his actress girlfriend Siren escape from the public eye for a bit. Now I'm stuck in my family's old home and having to confront my past. All these memories flooded my mind. Some good, some bad. And before I knew it, I was mixing the past with reality. And that's how I accidentally played the piano with Isaac and made Siren green with envy. At that moment, Siren swung open the door and charged toward me. Hey, don't let me catch you flirting with my BF again. Excuse me? What did you say? He's not even my type. Besides, having you as a love rival sounds like way more hassle than it's worth. She gave me this lingering scowl. Clearly she was furious with me, but she must have decided there was nothing else she could say on this matter. However, this didn't stop her from being the most demanding, frustrating diva on the planet. She stuck her nose up at the food and drinks we served her and insisted that she couldn't possibly consume anything that wasn't organic. She threw the clothes that we lent her down the stairs 'cause, quote, those vulgar outfits didn't suit her. Then she asked Ivy to go get her designer ones. Once, Zoe even had to drive over an hour to the mall just for a few scented candles. Why, you ask? Well, Siren accused me of exuding this bad energy that had been affecting her sleep and her well-being, so she needed to cleanse the aura around here. Poof! This was nonsense. Once her head touched the pillow, she slept like a log. It seems that living in the same house as their idol and his girlfriend wasn't exactly all it's cracked up to be. Isn't that right, Ivy and Zoe? However, contrary to Siren the Nightmare, Isaac surprised me quite a lot by actually being a great help around the house. He was an excellent cook and a dab hand at fixing things. Okay, I admit that I used to think he was just one of those useless celebs out there, but it seems he had no problem with pulling his weight. Anyway, this manner of his did somewhat make up for the obnoxious attitude of his girlfriend, which made this whole thing a bit more bearable. Until this one time. We were rowing on the river near the mansion. Well, I was rowing, to be exact. Just me, as what could we expect from our two superstars? But it's pretty out here, isn't it? It was Siren's bright idea, as she wanted some new Insta photos. You're probably wondering where Zoe and Ivy are? Yep, they're scouring the shops a few towns over for ethical foie gras. Look at her, saying she's feeling sick she couldn't row. But apparently she was well enough to smile for the camera and strike dozens of different poses. Suddenly, Siren decided to stand up to get better lighting, which made the whole boat shake. I shouted at her to sit down, but then before I properly knew what was going on, the boat was turning sideways and I tumbled into the water. I flailed my arms and legs out and tried my best to raise my head above the water, but it was no use. I couldn't stop myself from sinking beneath it. I honestly believed this was it. The world started to darken around me, when suddenly, an arm grabbed me and pulled me ashore. Hazel, can you hear me? I slowly opened my eyes and saw Isaac's worried face peering down at me. Hazel, thank goodness. He gently helped me sit up, then asked me if I was all right. For a few fleeting moments, the warmth from his body made me flush. Clearly, nearly drowning had made me delirious. I mean, I couldn't have feelings for him. Could I? Before I could ponder on this thought any more, a drenched Siren dripped her way over to us. Isaac, why did you rescue her instead of me? Siren, this is not the time for being dramatic. I was hardly going to come to you, an expert swimmer, over Hazel who was actually drowning. Hearing Isaac say that, she rolled her eyes, then stormed off, leaving a wet footprint trail in her wake. The last thing we needed in the house was more tension, so I immediately turned to him and said I was fine, and he should go and sort things out with his girlfriend. Listen, Hazel, Siren's not my girlfriend. I don't like her in that way, but as for you and me, we clearly have a connection. I stared at him in complete open-mouthed shock. Did he really just say that? Or perhaps I had a concussion and was imagining things. Siren's like my little sister. I'll explain this later, but first you need to rest. Then he wrapped his arms around me and guided me back to the house. I spent the rest of that day in bed feeling feverish. Then at dawn the next morning, I awoke to a commotion coming from downstairs. Guys? What's all the noise about? It's Isaac and Siren. They've gone, and they've taken the car. What? That was our only mode of transport out of here. How could they be so selfish to just abandon us here like this? We tried contacting Isaac countless times, but no answer. Great. Here we are now in this remote area where it would take hours to even find a passerby to hitchhike, not to mention how risky it'd be. Everything was a mess. We were panicking when suddenly the door burst open and walked in a smiling, arm-linked Isaac and Siren. Where have you been? You can't just leave like that without telling us. Oh, Ivy lent us the car. Didn't she say anything? Both Zoe and I turned our gazes on Ivy. She stammered. But I think you guys just went out for a while, not disappeared all night unreachable. Relax. All this tension will give you wrinkles. Then Siren smirked at me, as she flicked back her hair and then continued. We went to a drive-in cinema, and it was so romantic. We didn't want the evening to end, so we strolled around town until the early hours. What did she mean by that? So much for him seeing her as a sister. I felt like such a fool for believing his lies. We altered our entire plans to help you both hide from society, and this is how you thank us? By pulling a stunt like this? No more. Get out of here! Right now! Before anyone could say anything, my phone buzzed. It was my friend Erica. She asked me if the stories about me being in love with Isaac were true. Huh? What was she on about? In my panic, I ended the call and went online to check it out. Turns out on the Instagram account of the store where I customized our matching hoodies, the shop owner had posted a photo of me wearing it. Naturally, it didn't take the fan maniacs long to do their research and find out all about me. But worse still, another current trending post was one from Isaac's management company, confirming that we were officially dating. What kind of nonsense is this? I immediately told Isaac to call his company and put it on speaker. Isaac, we hit a jackpot! You probably know the iconic pianist and composer Edward Moretz, right? Hazel Moretz is his daughter! You mean... Everyone gasped at me in shock. Maybe it's time for me to reveal the secrets of my past, the truth that's been hidden for so long. Yes, Edward Moretz is my father, but I made a promise to myself 10 years ago that I would never speak to him again. Isaac's manager continued to brazenly talk about how the scandal with me would benefit Isaac's career, so there was no need to hide it. At that moment, Siren shouted, What on earth are you saying? Hey, are you with Siren again? I already told you not to mess with that girl unless you want to get yourself in trouble. Shut up! Siren furiously grabbed Isaac's phone and ended the call. Isaac, tell everyone that the one you love is me, not her. Siren, we were never in love. You're going too far. What? You guys aren't dating? So we misunderstood it all from the beginning? I knew right away there was something wrong. Yet you pretended to be his real girlfriend and treated us like your minions. Siren stood there with a red face, fists clenched. I gave you my heart, but all you do is hurt me. This time you've made a big mistake, Isaac. Just wait and see. Siren left for her room, but this time neither of us stopped her or comforted her. The next morning, we found out that Siren was gone. None of us knew where she was. We all just hoped that she wasn't so fueled with anger that she'd cause us even more problems. We quickly packed our things into the car, preparing to return to our normal life. When out of nowhere, a bunch of reporters and journalists appeared and surrounded us. Isaac, Miss Siren Wilde has accused Ms. Moretz of wrecking your relationship. Is this true? Does that mean you ran away from all the shows to go on a secret date with Ms. Moretz? Ms. Moretz, your father was known for breaking not only yours but also another family apart, all for his own selfish needs. Are you following in his footsteps? Scary flashlights were everywhere. Suddenly I found myself transported back to that terrible day 10 years ago when Dad's affair went public, and the reporters hounded us in this exact same spot. Those heartless flashlights are just as intense now as they were back then. A memory of my mom's distraught face popped into my mind. Puffy eyes, tear-stained cheeks, a fearful look. Yet the reporters were relentless vultures, firing questions at her regardless of her vulnerable state. That's the day I made a promise to myself that not only would I never pursue music, but I'd also never forgive my father. Amid the panic, an arm pulled me into the car, and we drove away from the crowd. It was Isaac. He put on some piano music to help calm me down, and he continued driving, eventually stopping at a small grocery store. Hazel, please drink this. Sorry for dragging you into all this. The thing is, I've been unhappy with my management company for a while now. They won't let me make the music I want to, but I didn't expect them to go as low as forcing me into their web of lies just for fame. I know how you feel. I used to long to become a pianist like my dad, but then he crushed my dreams. To further his career, he cheated on my mom with another married woman and left our family behind. I grew to hate the complex world of artists. I vowed to never become one of them. And then I gradually began to despise the sound of the piano, too. I'm sorry to hear that story. But art isn't to blame. It reflects lies genuinely, doesn't it? I heard your piano melodies and you are truly gifted. Be honest with your feelings and don't let anyone else interfere with them. Trying to deny your own passion and emotions will only make you miserable. Isaac's right. I'd let my dad's mistakes alter the pathway to my dreams. Not making music made me miserable. It felt like there was a part of me missing, one that nothing else could fill. Why should I be the one to suffer like this, when it hadn't even been me that done anything wrong? Look at me now. Can you believe it? I've rekindled my passion for piano, and now I'm happier than ever. After all that runway pop star drama, Isaac left his management company and collaborated with me to make music for True Art. This is our latest charity event. It's pretty neat, huh? That's all thanks to Zoe and Ivy. They work for us now. They're in charge of arranging our busy schedules and organizing our events. The four of us make the best team. I guess you're wondering what happened to Siren? Last I heard, she set her sights on her latest movie co-star. Wish her good luck is all I can say. As for Isaac and me, well, since the media claimed that we were a couple, we might as well have turned that fake news into reality.
Hey, I'm Kirsty, and I have an identical twin sister called Arabelle. We didn't have a normal upbringing, as our mom abandoned us at an orphanage when we were 6. We have our mom's dark blue eyes. That's pretty much all I remember about her. I'm not fully sure why she gave us up. I guess she was young and just couldn't cope. As little kids, my sister and I were close. We used to fool the other kids and the nuns into thinking that we were each other. Arabelle always wore a pink bow in her hair, so we'd both wear one and freak the kids out by double-crossing them in the corridors. Those were good times. But when we got older, everything has changed. I started to become green with envy at Arabelle. Everyone always liked her more than me. The nuns called her Little Cat, and every kid kept surrounding her like she was a sparkling star or something. They all thought she was so sweet and polite. This annoyed me because I knew the real her, and she wasn't sweet at all, if not a completely fake girl. And she just knew exactly what to say and do to get the most from people. Then, when we were 12, a lot had been happening that completely changed our lives. The orphanage had financial problems that could not be saved. Our nuns loved us so much that they didn't want to lose any of us, but they had no choice but to allow the social organization to find us adoptive parents. The nuns didn't want my sister and I to be apart, so they sent us to 2 families in the same town. But the God of justice must be blind as usual. Arabelle was way luckier than me. She was adopted by a wealthier family. My parents loved me anyway, but, well, she received all the best things, and that was just not fair. We went to the same school, and I was so sick of listening to her bragging. When we were at the orphanage, we used to wear the same kind of clothes, but now things were different. Arabelle always stayed in style, wearing the most beautiful clothes. So, although we are identical twin sisters, whenever we stand next to each other, she would be like a queen and I would be a maid. She easily got everything I ever wished for. Princess bed, a large window with a sea view, piano and ballet classes, and an amazing mom and dad. She talked about it all the time, and I got sick hearing it. It seemed like all of the greatest things were not enough for her. She didn't appreciate what they gave her and just always wanted more. If I were her, I would enjoy that dream life with gratitude and respect everything I got. Life was so unfair. Why did Arabelle always have the best while a girl like me was suffering from the day I was born? Adopting one part of a twin made our 2 new families close. My new family was always visiting Arabelle's big house for barbecues and nice dinners. To be honest, I did not want to go there at all. It was not a simple family meeting. It was just an event for her to show up. Her parents were so nice, and just by looking at the way they treated her, I could tell that they loved her so much. They often patted her head and called her puppy. Arabelle acted all sweet. Then, behind their backs, she said this nickname made her feel sick, as she wasn't 5. No one seemed to realize the truth. Arabelle was absolutely not as cute as they ever thought. She actually was kind of insolent.
haughty, boastful girl, and most of all, she was a fake. I remember one time when her mother's birthday party was taking place. Her mom looked stunning in that gorgeous dress, and people in the room just stayed silent for a while to show their impressing. Arabelle pretended to be cute and gave tons of compliments to her mom. But as soon as her mom turned her back on us, Arabelle whispered to me, "Look at her stupid smile. She is thinking that she really is beautiful, while everyone knows that I'm the one who looks stunning here." I was so sick of her double life. She was so lucky living that great life, but she had no appreciation for what she already had. And she was so fake. One time, I tried to unmask her true colors. I tried to tell my parents and our mutual friend about how she'd acted behind their backs, but they never believed me and just told me to stop being mean and selfish. They didn't understand a thing about her real version and even scolded me. I was the one who deserved that life, not that fake loser girl. That was when I decided to make a bigger plan. I wanted to replace Arabelle and live her life. I started staring at her work and copied her handwriting. I practiced imitating her voice. We sounded pretty similar, so this was easy. I secretly followed her and her lame friends at school so that I could learn all about their hobbies and habits. But my family was not as wealthy as theirs. I could only stand outside the restaurant, the clothing store, or the cinema. Watching Arabelle enjoy the good life just made my determination grow. When our families met up, I made an effort to get to know her parents more. Her mom likes playing the piano, and her dad likes taking care of his bonsai trees. Her mom can't eat seafood, and her dad is allergic to peanut butter. I jotted down every little detail about her life in my planning book. There were a lot of things I needed to learn until I was fully confident that I could become a second Arabelle and successfully replace her. But then something suddenly happened that made me speed up my plan. This boy called Milo I liked at school started flirting with my sister. And she flirted back. She knew I liked him, but this didn't stop her from agreeing to go on a date with him. She was such a demon. At this point, I couldn't stand her walking around and stealing all the best things I've ever wanted in my life. I had a plan. Back when I was in the orphanage, there was a man who often came to us and said impolitely to the nuns that they should sell him some children to solve their financial worries. Of course, the nuns refused him and kicked him out. He continued to come over a couple of times, and once he gave us his phone number, saying that if any of us got into trouble, we could find him. Then the nun showed up and threatened to call the cops. Well, that was the last time I saw him. I always kept that number because I knew there would be a day I would need it. And that day finally came. I called him, and we came up with a plan to solve my Arabelle issue. He sent her an anonymous message telling her to come to a secluded corner in the park to find out some juicy gossip about Milo. Of course, my nosy sister agreed. The man promised my sister would be sent to another place to work to help him earn money, and she wouldn't be harmed. I left a letter at home saying I'd had enough of the poor life and I'd found a better place to go. I told my parents not to be sad and not to look for me. I hid in a corner of the park and waited for my sister to appear. Then, when they took her, I could easily hop into her life and replace her. There would be no more Kirsty anymore, as I would perfectly be back as Arabelle. Well, the better version of her. Suddenly, I saw a black car stop in the distance. 2 tattooed guys got out of the car. I could see guns in their back. They stopped for a moment to wet a hanky with some liquid thing. This didn't feel right. I knew that this was going way too far. They would hurt my sister, and I was the one who was participating in this sin, and I knew that I would live in guilt for the rest of my life if I ever let it happen. I immediately ran out from where I was hiding, grabbed my sister's hand, and pulled her away. I heard their footsteps right behind us, so I ran as fast as possible to the crowd of people and screamed loudly at the same time to let people around pay attention to us. The other 2 men probably gave up when we ran into the crowd. After we got back to her home, I told her that I happened to be walking past and overheard the guys saying they were going to kidnap her. Then I just ran to reach her as fast as possible without thinking. She hugged me and thanked me for saving her life. She said that she always thought that I didn't like her, and she used to feel that way about me, too. Wow. That moment she came clear that she used to think that I was just a gross, dirty girl and didn't deserve to be around her. and she from time to time tried to pretend herself in front of me just to make me jealous. She was so sorry for her selfish mind and promised to change her character for me. I also told her that sometimes I became so mean because of envy, but facing this dangerous situation made me realize how much she means to me. And I will not let jealousy blind me anymore. Turns out, living a great life was that simple. We just need to talk straight and openly with each other to solve the problems between us. As for my parents, they read the letter I left them and got upset. We had a good talk, and I realized I was being the ungrateful one. Yes, so they didn't have as much money as Arabelle's family did, but they were good people who cared about me. Arabelle hadn't been the only selfish one. I'd been selfish too. Life's good, and Arabelle and I are getting on better than ever. Still, the guilt from what I planned eats me up. Should I come clean about what really happened, or should I keep it a secret and carry on like normal? I mean, it's not like anyone was hurt, right?
Hi guys, it's me again, Mia, the princess from a country which must not be named. My story has been told, but obviously you guys are not satisfied and wanted to see me fall off that cliff, didn't you? Yeah, so quiet up, listen down. Nope, scratch that and reverse it. Let's dive right in. Suddenly, Grace lunged to push me to the end of the cliff. No, you know Liam and I, we both don't want this marriage. Before I could finish, Grace broke down crying. I knew that. I know you don't want him either, but Liam and we talked about it and he said there was no way we could be together, as I gave up royalty and I'm just a commoner now. And worse, it seemed like Liam was going along with the royal order and accepted this marriage. I don't know what to do anymore. Mia was surprised to see the soft side of Grace. She was crouching down to comfort Grace when the cliff where she was standing suddenly collapsed and she fell off. Grace was too stunned to hold Mia back. Feeling extremely guilty and devastated, Grace returned to the palace to inform the queen about what had happened, and the queen immediately ordered her guards to search for the princess, but to no avail. After that, Grace had to face jail time. Liam visited her and apologized for not being able to stand up for her, as well as promised to wait for her. The queen was grief-stricken and regretted what she had done to the princess, so she traveled far and wide to do charity. Not long after, the king also woke up from his coma, and the quest to find Mia had never stopped after all those years. One day, on their palace duties, the king and queen reached Wellspring Village. There, they saw a boy looking exactly like Princess Mia. The queen approached the boy to talk when he suddenly called his parents. The queen turned around to see Princess Mia and Will together. There she was, surprised to learn that on the day of the Princess Mia's accident, Grace had actually found her and took her back to Will's village. Then a healer visited Mia and took care of her. Upon waking up, Mia had decided to stay at Wellspring to help develop the village into a better community. Unbeknownst to her, Grace had taken the fall for everything, so that the royal family would stop prying into the accident and finding out the princess's whereabouts. Grace had sacrificed her freedom so that the princess could have hers. After hearing about what had happened to Grace, Mia quickly returned to the palace to pardon her. The two hugged each other in tears. All the misunderstandings between Mia and the queen had also been cleared. Princess Mia and Will returned to the palace, while Liam and Grace finally got together as well. It was a happy ending all around, and they lived happily ever after. Because the princess is currently unavailable, wink wink, I'm here to ask you all, which ending do you prefer? Let me know in the comments, and the princess will see you around, because she is busy living happily ever after. Bye!
Do you know what it feels like to live in a splendidly luxurious castle, wearing extravagant dresses, indulging in exquisite dishes, and always having servants take care of you? Well, actually, I don't really know either. I'm just a little maid who's fortunate enough to be friends with Princess Anne. Oh, by the way, my name is Diana, and I was born in the palace of a small European kingdom. Sounds like a fairy tale, doesn't it? Well, I don't exactly live a fairy tale life. I'm only here because of my mother, Stella. She had devoted her entire life to serve the queen, so in return, I was allowed to live in the castle. And when I grew up, I became a servant to Princess Anne, who was just a few ages older than me, so we immediately hit it off. Ironically, though, I'm not quite cut out to be a servant. I'm a bit, maybe very clumsy, and I tend to be less helpful than I actually should. When all is quiet, it's likely that I've just hidden myself away in the library, lost in its endless sea of books. It would be more fun if Anne was just as happy to spend time in the library as me, but she doesn't care much for reading or studying. She said it makes you age like crazy. But still, she must attend her mandatory classes, by the Queen's order, of course, although she'd much better enjoy cooking, cleaning, and decorating. So whenever there weren't ice on us, Anne and I would help each other out. I would sneak into her classes, listen to the tutor attentively so I could help her with assignments later. In return, she'd help me with the palace's errands. Anne was how I imagined having a sister is like. We just got each other's back. I knew the real Anne. I supported her passion for baking even when her own mother forbade her, and I was the only one who knew about her big crush on Count Harold, who often came bearing tributes from the people. Anne was so kind that she always gave me plenty of good food to share with Mom and other maids. But Mom wasn't too thrilled about this. For some reason, she was always anxious seeing how close me and Anne were. Don't forget your place, Diana. Princess Anne is still royalty, and you're just a little maid. Be sure you never cross the line with her. She's just trying to help us, Mom. Don't worry, I'll be careful. Then one day, Anne found a beautiful vintage dress from her closet and convinced me to try it on. I agreed, and once I stepped out of the changing screen, Anne was amazed. See, you'd make such a gorgeous princess. Did I ever tell you you remind me so much of my aunt, the late Queen Mary? I don't have much memories of her, but I've seen her picture in the royal family tree, and you very much share the same aura with her. I wish, Anne, but if I were a princess, I would have people do whatever I want. Like, fetch me my robes, servant, and when you're finished, my toes could use a salt bath. We were just messing around when Mom came storming in. Diana, how dare you desecrate the princess? I told you not to cross the... She didn't finish her words, but fell to the ground, holding her chest in pain. I rushed over to her as Anne ran to the hallway looking for help. Mom! Diana, I need to tell you something. No, Mom, save your strength. The doctor will be here any minute now. No, Diana, you listen to me. I've been hiding the truth from you your entire life. It's time you learn. What? What do you mean? I'm not your birth mother, Diana. Just find my safe, okay? The answers are there. And don't tell anyone. She took one last breath before closing her eyes. The doctors rushed in, but it was too late. She had a heart attack with a pre-existing heart condition, so she didn't stand a chance. I spent the next week doing nothing except grieving my mother's passing. It didn't even bother me that we were not genetically tied. In my eyes, Stella was my mother, the only family I had. She loved and cared for me more than anyone else ever could. It hurt to even be here in her room, feeling her presence surrounding this place. But as I was going through her stuff, I accidentally stepped on a section of the floor that sounded hollow. It immediately sprung open, revealing a secret cellar underneath. The first thing I noticed was an intricate key-shaped necklace. Next to it was a letter, unveiling that this was an heirloom from my birth mother, who was none other than Queen Mary herself. Even more shockingly, she was still alive. On the day I was born, by Miranda's order, I was separated from Queen Mary, and she was held captive in the castle's dungeon. If it weren't for her pleading Miranda not to harm me, I might have been thrown into some orphanage far away. Instead, I was placed in Stella's care, as Miranda wanted to keep a close eye on me to prevent any chance of betrayal. Stella had regretted following Miranda's order ever since, as she grew to love me like her true daughter. She wanted to run away with me, but the thought of Miranda finding out and putting her family in danger stopped her. But she'd hoped that one day I'd be reunited with my mother. None of this felt real. My hands were still shaking as I held the letter. I need the answer to all my questions. I owed it to my mother to fulfill her dying wish. That night, following the instructions my mother left in her letter, I pretended to be a maid bringing food to prisoners and went down the secret tunnel. There were no guards in the large abandoned prison, only a thin, emaciated woman. Slowly and carefully, I approached her. Are you Queen Mary? I handed her the necklace. The woman's eyes lit up, and she looked up at me in shock, tears welling in her eyes. Diana. I nodded. She pulled me into her arms and cried in joy. But then she abruptly pulled away from me. What are you doing down here? Miranda is going to find out. It's too dangerous. You need to leave. It's okay. No one knows I'm here. They won't find me. Still, it's too risky. My sister is an evil woman. She always wanted to be the queen. So she picked the day I was at my weakest to imprison me, subdue you, and falsely declared my demise during childbirth. That's how she eliminates any obstacles that stop her from seizing the kingdom. But Miranda will never be the queen in people's heart. She's nothing more than an oppressor, and it pains me to know she has corrupted our kingdom. But you are here now, Diana. You're the true heir to the throne. You have to stop Miranda. Me? I still haven't dared to believe any of this is real. I grew up just a little maid who's never been formally educated. What can I possibly do to overthrow someone in control of an entire country? Diana, I'm sorry I couldn't give you a better childhood, but I know, deep inside, you are a strong, resilient girl. Stella told me all the time how smart and bright you are, as she brought me food. Me and her both believed in you. You have the power to make things right. My mind was still swirling with all this new information, things that just seemed impossible, unbelievable. I understand why you might be doubtful, but here, leave the palace and test your DNA against mine. Once you confirm your identity, you can decide what to do next, but you can't stay inside the castle any longer. 'Cause once Miranda finds out you know the truth, she won't leave you alone. I hesitated for a moment, but I knew what needed to be done. So, early in the morning, I packed up some belongings and grabbed some food before sneaking into a freight truck that was about to leave. But then I suddenly bumped into someone.
Hey, watch where you're going!
Shh! Keep it down!
Why? Don't tell me you're some kind of thief.
No, I'm a maid. I'm just not allowed to go outside the palace. But, the princess desperately wants to make a Dutch chocolate cake, and the storage is out of ingredients, so I need to go to market.
And did you plan to sneak into my truck and have a free ride there?
I didn't know it was your truck, but if you can help me, that would be lovely.
And what would I get in return?
My company.
Fair enough. It's a lonely ride. By the way, what's your name?
Diana, what's yours?
People call me Harry. Now let's get going.
We hopped into the truck, and Harry turned out to be not such a bad companion. It was nice to have someone else my age to talk to for once, especially a handsome one. Then he turned on this music that's called pop. I swear, it was so good, I couldn't help grooving along.
This song is my favorite. Do you know it?
Nope. The Queen doesn't even allow us to own a radio.
Oh, wow. Maybe I can sneak one in for you.
I would absolutely love that. After a while of driving, we took a break in the forest to stretch our legs. I shared with Harry some cookies and baked earlier today, when suddenly a snake coiled around the lower part of my leg and sunk its teeth into it. Pain immediately shot up. Moments later, Harry dislodged the snake and threw it away. Then he leaned over, sucking the venom out of my wound without hesitation. I blushed, both confused and flattered. He grabbed some clean cloths in the truck and helped me bandage the wound.
I'm sorry, that was weird.
No, that was kind of you. And I really hate to say this, but I don't think the snake is poisonous. I read about it in a book once, but still, thank you for saving me. His face turned bright red even for minutes later. It was so cute. We then continued our journey. When we arrived in an aristocratic area where people seemed to be living in luxury, I began to doubt that the kingdom was as poor and in bad shape as Queen Mary had said, until we arrived at the commoner community. I was taken aback by the small buildings and houses that were old and crumbling. The market was basically desolate, with only a couple of sellers in sight. I couldn't even find any baking supplies there. It was growing dark, so Harry asked if I wanted to crash at his place. I had nowhere else to go, so I agreed. Harry's house was shockingly small, but it was clean and cozy. His father is a doctor, and his mom takes care of his 3-year-old sister. They kindly welcomed me and invited me to have dinner with them. Although it was frugal, to say the least, and I could tell that everyone was still hungry after the meal. I have a loaf of bread in my pack. I'd love to share it with you all if that's okay, to thank you for your hospitality. Harry's mother smiled and nodded, and his little sister squealed in delight as she dug into the loaf of bread.
Since the famine began, everyone has suffered, even the ones with good jobs. We've all needed to tighten our belts a bit.
Just then, a loud thumping sounded at the front door.
Open this door now, or we will kick it down!
As Harry and his parents rushed to the door, I hid in another room, afraid that I would be recognized. The guards were there, demanding tax payment, or else the family would be removed from their home. It hurt me to watch them fork over the money, searching their pockets to count every last coin they had. That night, I tossed and turned. I couldn't stop thinking about how Queen Miranda could oppress her own people to this point. I was flooded with guilt, thinking about how gleefully Anne and I would share the tributes taken from these poor people, unaware that they were suffering and starving. I couldn't stay in bed any longer. I crept out into the hallway and down the stairs, and suddenly spotted Harry's father, reading a book under a lamplight. "I'm sorry to disturb you."
No worries. Anything I could help you with?
I actually do need your help. You see, I left the palace because I wanted to confirm something. If you could please compare my DNA to this person believes she's my birth mother.
Sure. It might take a couple of days.
That's fine, but please do not tell anyone about this. He looked confused, like he wanted to ask more questions, but seeing how reserved I was, he didn't. The next morning, I helped Harry and his mother clean up the houses of other people who couldn't pay the tax last night. The guards had ransacked a number of homes looking for the money, and now they were left starving and penniless. It couldn't go on like this. I need to find a way to feed the people first. So I came up with the idea of hunting some wild animals in the forest for food. Then I instructed each household to build a hidden cellar under the ground to store their food and keep their properties to themselves. I was so focused on the dire situation that I didn't even have time to worry about the DNA results until I received them that evening.
The result shows that you and the other person are indeed related.
I see.
It also shows that the other DNA belongs to the late Queen Mary. May I know how this is possible?
It's because Queen Mary is still alive. And if the result is true, that means I really am her daughter. At that moment, Harry unexpectedly entered the room, jaw dropped.
You're what?
I was taking Mom to the hospital when noticed the nurse was trying to hurt her. "Excuse me, miss, you're making a mistake. That syringe should go into the brachial artery. You're in the wrong location, and that's dangerous."
Are you trying to tell me that I don't know how to do my job? I have been doing this job longer than you have been alive.
"No, you're going to hurt my mother."
Bummy, be quiet. Stop disrespecting and let the nurse do her job.
No, don't touch her.
What is going on here?
Your nurse got the location of the brachial artery wrong, and I was trying to correct her, but she wouldn't listen.
I'm sorry, she reads a lot of books and she is convinced she knows as much as a doctor. But she is correct, the nurse is wrong. Ma'am, your daughter just saved your life.
Hello, my name is Bummy from Nigeria, and I am just 15, but I'm already the world's youngest doctor. And today, I will tell you about my crazy adventure. Before that, please like and subscribe. It all started when I was little. My mom used to take me to the library where she worked and leave me to wander around. That's when I found my interest in medicine. By the time I was 6, I knew everything about the human body. But it only started to bloom when I met Dr. Jeff the other day. He told me I had a photographic memory and encouraged me to pursue medicine. While my classmates struggled to understand fractions, I had already figured out algebraic equations. School became boring, so after school, every day, I would go to Dr. Jeff's hospital, and he would let me observe everything and instructed me to perform some procedures from simple to more complex.
Bummy, you've learned too fast. I hope someday you have a chance to spread your wings further, 'cause soon I'll have nothing else to teach you.
Then, one day, I was sitting on the porch to finish my medical illustration when I noticed a group of foreigners approaching. Turns out they are American aid workers who would be staying in our neighborhood for a while with some humanitarian projects. Days after, they were carrying out an immunization exercise. Everything was going great when suddenly one of them fell to the ground. I ran to the scene as fast as I could to see him choking. Blood was nearly drained from his face. Without thinking further, I ran back into my house and grabbed my aid kit, but was blocked by some woman.
Kid, go play somewhere else. Don't take up oxygen here. Someone's choking.
Do you want me to help your friend or not? Upon that, I immediately dunked the Swiss knife in alcohol to sterilize them, made an incision, and then placed the straw as a temporary breathing tube. The man who was almost turning blue took his first breath. "Let's get him to the hospital. It's not far from here." I called Dr. Jeff to inform his situation, and a few days later, the man finally woke up. That night, someone knocked on my door, and I was surprised to see the woman that day.
Hello, I'm Carol. Sorry to disturb you, but I came to talk about your daughter. I have traveled far and wide, but in my life, I have never met a genius like her. I think that an American education will do so much for her. America? My sweet child was fine here. No offense, though, but I'm afraid a life here is not the ideal environment for her to develop. But America will. We can get her into a gifted program and make sure she reaches her full potential. But who is going to take care of her? She would live with me. I promise I would take care of her like my own daughter. And the next time you see Bummy, she will have become the extraordinary doctor she was meant to be. What do you say, baby? I didn't like the idea of leaving my mom alone here, but that's when what Dr. Jaff said earlier echoed in my mind. Right, that might be a chance that he meant. Mom, I want to go. The goodbyes were quick, and I was on the plane heading to California with an eager heart toward the new land of dreams ahead. Welcome to America. Please feel at home. Oh God, my phone has been buzzing since they talked about you on Facebook. Hang on, I need to take this call. You must be Bummy, right? So you're the girl our mom can't shut up about. Hi, nice to meet you. Are not welcome here. What? Oh, great. You have met my kids, Camille and Ted. Welcome home, Mom. I made dinner. I hoped we could sit and you can tell us all about your Oh, not today, sweet pea. A show wants an exclusive on you right now, Bummy. Now? But that means people are super excited about you. Come on, let's go. Then Carol took me somewhere else with a bunch of strangers holding some kind of lights that blinded my eyes. Suddenly, a man walked toward me. You're Bummy, right? Hi, I'm Martin. Can we start now? Start what? Without letting me catch up on what's going on, Carol already had me chained into stiff clothes and pushed me into a chair opposite the man. Good morning, everyone. Our show today has a special guest, Bummy Alana, the youngest doctor from Nigeria. Or maybe the world. Bummy, why don't you start by telling us your first case? Hi. When I was 6, my friend was choking on a bone, so I performed the Heimlich maneuver, as I read it in a book before. And the show continued with loads of questions about me. I answered them all, but to be honest, I don't know why I was doing what here. I felt such a relief when it ended. But the next morning... Oh, there you are. Rise and shine, my little genius. We have a busy day today. I laid out your clothes, so get ready. We leave in 1 hour. I thought it was a one-time thing. It rather turned into my daily routine. I would be in a show after a show, sitting in front of cameras answering ridiculous questions. I felt like I was making a fool of myself. Carol, I'm tired of the cameras and the interviews. I came here to learn. Oh, darling, we want the same thing. A medical university you need to be at is expensive, and these interviews would help us get a sponsor soon, I believe. In the meantime, just focus on that and your study at school, okay? Yeah. I had to enroll at a public high school with her children. But high school here was weird. In Nigeria, I was supposed to be entering 11th grade. But now in America, I had to enroll in the 9th. It's like I was left behind. Not just that, Camille, Carol's daughter, seemed to not like me and was determined to make my life a living hell. She usually hid my textbooks or my shoes before school, making me search everywhere, and I ended up being late for school almost every day. Bummy, I don't think you appeared on TV shows that you can discard school regulations. Ugh, it's her, not me. And everything got worse. The people at school continued to undermine me and act like I was a dummy. Excuse me, sir, I got a C- even though I got all the questions right. Well, you didn't use the words from the textbook like I asked. But I'm correct. Shouldn't I be allowed to express my answers in my own words? Not in my class. Genius, they say. That day after school, I was home to find all of my clothes all torn apart. That's when I saw Camille smirk. You ruined my clothes! Next time, your clothes won't be the only damaged things if you stay here. Okay, fine. That's the last straw. It's time to teach her that I'm not an easy prey for her. I snuck into her room to mess with her makeup products. Let's see how you can decorate your face to school. But on the way out, I noticed her iPad. Wow, she had a channel herself. And what's this? Was it Carol and her children? What are you doing here? Startled, I accidentally dropped the sculpture on the floor. Oh God, my sculpture! Do you know what it is? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. You're not making my life miserable enough? Then out of nowhere, Carol barged in. What are you doing? You silly child! Apologize to Bummy right now or you are grounded. Carol, no, it's my fault. She didn't. I'm sorry, Bummy. Then she ran out of her room, hands holding her face. I thought I saw her tears streaming down. What happened yesterday kept me tossing and turning the whole night. It's true Camille wasn't the most pleasant person, but Carol shouldn't have done that to her. Bummy, I bet you haven't seen those tools in your hometown before, right? Haven't you? So you're not ready to dissect a rat yet. Just watch others first. Whatever. I came here for new challenges, but all I got was mocking and belittling. Hey, are you alright? I raised my head to see Ted. Is this because of the biology class? Nah, I couldn't care less about them. They just can't accept a new kid more brilliant than they are. If it's not, so what troubles you? Why your sister hates me so much?
She doesn't. She hates that you are everything she is not. Do you know that this is the longest time our mother has been around us since our father left? But in fact, she wasn't here for us.
Then he told us how Carol was always traveling, leaving him and Camille alone, and it surely caused a deep hole in her children, especially Camille. That's why she acted like that to me.
Actually, that sculpture was the one Mom brought us when she went to Disneyland years ago. Camille treasured it the most.
My heart broke for them, for Camille. I understood her pain, and deep down I know I needed to do something to help fix this relationship. I came up with the idea of inviting Ted and Camille to go along with me to our shows, so that they could spend more time with their mother. Seeing them happy together, it warmed my heart to know family will always be family, no matter what. Soon Ted and I became closer. I didn't know he had quite a craftsmanship with his sculptures. And you know what? Recently Camille seemed to be super nice towards me. We might make good friends in the near future, right? Then, one night, while we were having dinner, Carol broke an exciting news to me.
Bummy, congratulations! Some sponsor sent your application to a top medical school! Good job, Bummy! I haven't been this proud before, my child!
Finally, I was a step closer to my dream! A few days later, I was preparing for my interview when I heard Carol screamed.
What's wrong? You got a C- in biology? Someone mailed the sponsor a copy of your test, and now they are uninterested. They don't believe that you're a genius with this low score. Oh, my hard work is gone. Who did this?
Ted and I looked at Camille at the same time. She was biting her nails nervously and sweating. So Camille did it to me? After everything happened?
Camille, why?
Cause Mom always loved her than us.
What?
It's okay. It's good that it happened. I was going to reject it anyway.
What?
I'm very thankful for your kindness all this time, but I couldn't live on your help any longer. But Carol, there's a bigger problem here. You have been so buried in what could happen in the future to other kids, while you have ignored the present. You've ignored your kids. You have been looking in the wrong places for extraordinary kids. Did you know Camille has a YouTube channel with over 10,000 followers? Did you know that Ted is incredible with woodwork? He has a sculpture of you that he carries around, hoping for a day he can give it to you. They need you, really need you, more than me or any kids need you.
So where would you go?
I just got admitted into a special program at the Johns Hopkins University. I was going to tell you tonight. Actually, I was preparing for the interview with them.
Oh my, you're stronger than I thought. Can I see it? The sculpture of me, I mean. It's so beautiful. I'm so sorry, guys. I wanted to be someone significant. I wanted to be a big deal, but there is no bigger deal than being your mom. I'm sorry. I'm going to make it up to you.
Bummy, I'm so sorry. I was angry and didn't think enough. I am so sorry. And thank you for everything you did to us. I know it's hard for you to forgive me, but I forgive you. The car was eerily silent as the taxi drove me to the interview. I read my acceptance letter over and over during the trip. I earned it by my hard work, and I was determined to reach my dreams by my own effort. Finally, I could come to the place where people saw my true potential and attempted to help me reach my fullest. And here I was, ready to hold my dream medical degree.
Our school has never witnessed a prodigious student like Bummy Alana. Only in 1 year, she has not only finished her course, but also contributed greatly to endoscopy surgery of the U.S. with her new discovery.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. First, I couldn't find enough words to tell how glad I am for all the opportunities America has given me. The dean offered me a position here at the university. I am grateful, but I had to reject it. The woman who first took me to America thought she was saving me, but she never realized I was where I needed to be. My home, where I was much needed than here. So, I'm going back home to my family in Nigeria, and I hope to use all my knowledge to help my community. But whenever America needs me, I'll always be here to offer my humble help. Here they are. Carol, Ted, and Camille were also here to celebrate with me. They were all sad to know I was not staying here, but life is always open for a reunion, right? And finally, I was home, with Mom and Dr. Jeff. One day, I was checking the new pack of medical equipment sent from America, when I saw a sculpture of me.
You sent for me?
I didn't think you would make it.
As long as it's you, nothing's impossible. Oh, wait.
Hey guys! Hi, Bummy! Welcome to your mother-daughter channel. My name is Carol, and this is my extraordinary daughter, Camille.
They send their regards.
Hello, my name is Dixie, and I have quite a peculiar story for you today. Shout out to Animated Story Show for telling my life story, so please like and subscribe to the channel. I used to have a perfect life. My mom is a lawyer for a top law firm, and she's rarely home, but my dad works from home. And together, we were the best team. And Dixie keeps running, and oh, can she make it? Whew! Yes, she does!
Woohoo! And she shoots and she scores!
Oh my god, what is going on here? Today is our father-daughter tournament. And guess who's winning? Well, this tournament is over. David, you cannot continue to raise our child like a rascal. Clean this place up and come help me make dinner, Dixie. My mom was a total killjoy. At dinner, I was excited to discuss my upcoming birthday with my mom and dad. I finally wrote down what I want. There's only one thing on the list. We have talked about this. You are not getting a sister. But why? Pretty please, Mom. I promise I will help with the baby, and I will even stop playing.
No, we are not having any more kids. Write something else on your list.
But Mom, it's all I want.
Then want something else. Come on, baby. There must be something else you want. A baby is quite a tall order.
If you guys don't give me a sister, I'm going to go on a hunger strike until you listen to me.
Suit yourself. I'm too tired for this. Now let me have my dinner in peace.
Of course she wouldn't care, even if I starve myself. I went upstairs and screamed into my pillow. My mom was so impossible.
Hey, honey, are you good?
Your wife is killing me.
Come on, baby, cut her some slack. Having a baby is a big deal, and it might not be a good time for your mom and me because of work and, something else.
What else? Of course, work is more important to her than us.
Your mom might work a lot, but trust me, she loves you. And I have the perfect gift for your birthday. It is going to be amazing and better than a crying baby.
I doubt that, but we will see. A few weeks later, on the eve of my 14th birthday, everything fell apart. I was in my room when I heard commotion downstairs. It must be Dad setting up decorations. But then I heard Dad and Mom yelling at each other, so I ran downstairs to see Mom sitting in the dark. Mom, why are you sitting here alone? Where's Dad? And why didn't he do my decorations?
Honey, there is no easy way to tell you this, but your dad left us. We have been having issues for a while, and I tried to keep us together, baby, believe me. I tried, but he walked away.
Liar! Liar! You are lying! My dad will never do that! I will call him right now, and he will tell me that you are lying! But Mom wasn't lying. I called every day for weeks, and Dad never picked up the phone. He was really gone. I couldn't believe it. How could he leave me without a goodbye? As if things weren't bad enough, my mother walked into my room one day wearing the most ridiculous country outfit.
We are moving to the countryside.
What? To the countryside? Why?
I figured that being here in this house might be too much. And if we are going to heal, we need a fresh start. New job, new home, new life. And it's summertime, so you have plenty of time to settle before school starts.
I am not leaving. What if Dad comes back for me?
He will not.
I don't believe you. You're just trying to take me far away from him.
Pack your things. We're leaving today.
Mark my words. I will not move. I will not. But of course, Mom's way or the highway.
Honey, there is something I need to tell you about this place. Where we're going is my home. It's the place I grew up.
Huh? You never talk about your home, and now all of a sudden we are moving there?
I know it's weird, but it's a long story. But believe me, you will understand soon. And you're finally going to meet my sister, Rose.
Sister? You have a sister and never told me? God, do I really know anything about you?
Oh, well, we're here.
I looked up and I saw the whole farm spreading in front of my eyes.
And that's Rose, your aunt.
A woman almost as beautiful as my mother stood in the driveway holding a rake. I could immediately sense that she didn't like us.
Well, look who it is. Why are you here? This is my home, Rose. I don't need to explain anything to you. Home! Please don't make me laugh. Your husband leaves and you remember that you have a home. That's rich.
Hi, Auntie Rose. I'm excited to meet you.
Sure.
She just walked away and continued shoving hay. Rude. But Auntie Rose was more than rude. She was cruel. She never spoke to my mom and me. She always pretended like we didn't exist. And to make it worse, I tried to ask Mom what happened between them, but she refused to tell me.
Adults.
Feeling a little suffocated one day, I took a walk to the lake when I felt something like a rock hit me. What in the coconuts was that?
Oh, so sorry. I didn't see you coming. I'm Callum, and you must be Dixie.
Huh? How do you know who I am?
This is a little town. We know everyone. So, how are you finding life away from the big city?
It's horrible. Can't wait for my dad to come take me away from here.
Yeah, about that, I'm really sorry. My dad left too, so I understand how you feel.
Listen, I don't know who you are or what you think you know, but my dad didn't leave me, okay? He's just tied up with work.
Okay, don't walk away. I'm sorry. Come on, let's see who can skip rocks the farthest.
I was so angry at this Callum guy and the rest of the stupid town for thinking my dad left. But the thought of going back to the Cold War at home, I'd much rather stay with him. Turned out, Callum was a breath of fresh air, and soon we started spending more time together. One night, I was sleeping in my room when my mother walked into my room.
Hey, honey, I know that so much of this has been difficult for you, so I brought someone to help. Meet Summer, your adopted sister.
I couldn't believe it. For the first time in forever, I ran and hugged my mom. Thank you so much. I finally have a sister, a forever friend. Yes, we are going to be best friends, sister. Summer was just 1 year younger than me, but she was so energetic and full of adventure. Every morning, she would leave the room before I woke up to explore the grounds, and late at night, she would tell me all the tales of her adventure during the day. Best of all, Summer also didn't like Auntie Rose's attitude one bit. So at night, we would badmouth Rose behind our back until we fell asleep. It was so satisfying. I saw you with Callum today. Hubba, he is so cute. Is he your boyfriend? Ew, no, we're just friends. Okay, if you say so. Guess what I did today? I left the barn doors open, and I'm sure all the animals have escaped by now. What? Summer, why would you do that? Because Rose has been rude to us. All she cares about is those animals. And let's see what she does when the animals are all gone. Christ, that's terrible, Summer. Please don't do that ever again. Auntie Rose is going to be so mad at you. Almost as if it was on cue, I heard a barge on my door. Summer jumped and hid behind me. You rat! How dare you! I know you let the animals get out. You are so lucky I got there on time. If not, what? Rose, how dare you threaten my child? Tell your little nuisance to stay away from my property, or I will deal with her. I could feel Summer shivering behind me, so I had to be a big sister and protect her. Auntie Rose, I am very sorry. It will never happen again. Auntie Rose just huffed and walked away. Phew, that was close. But after they all left my room, Summer started laughing. I warned her to never play silly pranks again, but I just knew that she would not listen to me. The next time I hung out with Callum, I told him what happened. Summer keeps playing pranks on Auntie Rose. I'm worried she's going to make Mom and Auntie Rose fight even more. Well, maybe she's just trying to adjust, and it's her own way of acting out. She has to get over it quickly because bitter Auntie Rose doesn't play. What's Summer like, by the way? She's sweet, but she's always busy going on her wildest adventures. When I got home that day, my mom and Auntie Rose were in a shouting match. I know my child, and she didn't do this. You can be mad at me all you want, but don't accuse my child of something she didn't do. Someone keyed my car. It's you, Dixie, isn't it? I didn't do it. I told you. Is this why you came here? To torture me? Haven't you done enough? After all these years, I can't believe that you came back to continue to cause me pain. Rose, please no. Then Mom started to cry too. Can you please tell me what happened between you guys? Enough with the secrecy. When Rose and I were teenagers, she had a piggy bank where she saved money to get out of this place and start her life somewhere new. She never wanted to stay in the small town, but then one day, your grandparents expected me to take over the farm, and I panicked. So I stole her piggy bank, got on a train, and left. And because I left, Rose was stuck here with a farm. Ugh, I hate that I hurt my sister, but I don't regret it. If I didn't leave, I wouldn't have met your dad, and I wouldn't have had you. Oh my God! I can't believe you did that! That's why she hates us! You ruined her life! I know! That's why I came back. I want to fix things, but everyone I love hates me. Your dad, you, and my sister. Maybe I am just a terrible person. What you did was terrible, but you are not terrible, Mom. But you have to apologize to Auntie Rose and do whatever it takes to make it up for her. I was happy Mom admitted her wrongdoing and wanted to make amends after all. So we all had a heart-to-heart conversation when Mom finally had the courage to apologize to Auntie Rose. She was still mad at first, but then...
You know I resented you for many years, but because you left me with a farm, I realized how much I loved the land and eventually found my spiritual healing here. So in a way, I have to say thank you, and sorry for being mean to you.
We all shared a warm embrace. It felt so good to be a family again. When I got back to my room, I was glad to see Summer there. Oh, thank God you're here. Where have you been the whole day? Busy wandering around plotting my new prank on Rose. You have to stop messing with Auntie Rose right now. She and Mom actually patched things up. Then I told her everything, but to my surprise, no, messing with her is fun, and I like it. If you don't stop, I'm going to tell everyone. You can try, but no one would believe you. I am the cute and cuddly one. Summer, why can't we just get along? Why do you have to break my heart, just like everyone else? Ask yourself. Don't put that onto me. I was so furious. What type of sister from hell was this? But she was right. No one was going to believe me unless I caught her in the act. But before I could do anything, I got carried away with the work at the farm. One day, Callum and I were helping Mom in the storage house when Auntie Rose ran in. Someone destroyed the chicken coop, ran a tractor into it. What? That was it. I know who did it. It was Summer. She is the one who has been doing all of it, not me. I tried to take the fall for her and talk her out of it, but she is not listening to me. Rose looked at me like I was insane.
You are a terrible liar. I know you did this. I have proof.
She pulled out a video, and I felt like I was being sucker punched. It was me. I was driving the tractor. Then I crashed it and started laughing hysterically. No, that's not possible. I didn't do that. Summer did. Summer did all of it. I tried to fix it so Auntie Rose could forgive Mom, but she got upset with me and started doing more daring stuff. Sometimes I found her pranks and fixed them before you saw them, but I couldn't get it all. At this point, everyone was staring at me with so much concern in their eyes.
Honey, who is Summer?
Summer, my sister, the one you adopted.
I didn't do that. You have no sister. Wait, I think I know what is happening. It makes sense now. Dixie, Summer is not real. You made her up.
That's not true. You know her.
I don't, actually. I never met her. Oh, my poor baby. You need help.
I am not insane.
It's okay, sweetheart. It's okay.
Mom and Auntie Rose then drove me to the hospital, where I would be given therapy. Callum also came with us and sat with me in the waiting room. I can't even trust my brain again. I don't even know what's real anymore. Did I also imagine you too, Callum?
No, you didn't. I am real, Dixie, and I will be here with you every step of the way.
Right then, Mom and Auntie Rose came back after talking to the therapist.
Dixie, honey, I'm so sorry for not listening to you and your needs for so long. I knew you always wanted a sister, but I never took you seriously. It was my fault. If I had been there for you, listened to you, and hadn't been so controlling and distant to you, things might have been different. But now I promise I will always be here with you, and you're going to be okay. I promise.
What about Summer?
You don't need Summer. You have us. All of us.
Voila! Finally done! The most exhausting part of moving mansion was having to rearrange my Birkin collection. But at least my walk-in closet is bigger than my last one, so now I need to pick out the perfect outfit for school tomorrow. First impressions are crucial. This is my favorite fit at the moment, but let's get a second opinion. Mom, Dad, what do you think? Wellstone High's new Queen Bees incoming! Adele, there you are. I bought you a few new items. Ooh, goody! I love surprises. What is this? Mom, are these for the maids? Honey Pie, it appears that well-off residents in this neighborhood have been targeted by a dangerous robbers gang. For your safety, you'd better tone down your outfits, at least until they catch the thieves. I know it's not ideal, but safety first. Come on, Pumpkin, isn't this shirt adorable? No, it's not. I'm not being seen dead in that rag. My parents were probably just exaggerating. Let's see. It seems some girl had her Hermes bag stolen, another her Cartier bracelet, and some guy his Rolex. No, I couldn't let some crooks take my precious babies. The next morning, I trudged downstairs in those awfully bland clothes. Ugh, they were itchy and smelled so bad. Darling, this will only be for a little while. You're our only angel, and we simply couldn't bear it if anything were to happen to you. Fine. Where's my chauffeur? I want to take the Porsche today. At least that can still save my grand entrance. Absolutely not. If you do that, you may as well be wearing a beacon to attract those thieves. I think it's best if you take the bus. The bus? Before I could protest anymore, Mom kissed me on the forehead, burst into tears, and ran off hysterically. Have a wonderful day, sweetie. Great. So much worrying for me. Now I had no choice but to find the bus stop, wherever that was. I wandered around the corner when suddenly a deafening scream came from behind me. Thief! Watch out! I spun around to see a guy running towards me, so I immediately sped off. But soon I felt the thief reach me. Terrified, I crouched down, raised my bag. Here, take it! Don't hurt me! But no reply. I peered up and saw the guy was ahead of me and was restraining a bad guy. Turns out he wasn't the thief, and the actual thief wasn't after me. Oops, how embarrassing. Let's just leave ASAP, but I ended up crashing into some flashy car. Are you okay? It's the guy who just caught the thief. I froze. He's so handsome. I was about to reply when the car door swung open, and this angry rich guy stormed over to me. Are you blind? You scratched my car. Pay up. Leave her alone, Bernie. He's handsome and kind, totally different from that arrogant Bernie guy. Turns out he's called Roy. We all go to the same school. Better still, Roy offered to drive me there in his fancy car. What a shame that I bumped into a hottie looking like a mess. If only he knew the real me, he'd fall for me hard. We're made for each other. We even have matching cars. We arrived at school to a bunch of fangirls waiting to greet Roy. Makes sense. He's handsome and oh so rich. What's not to like? Roy told them I was new here, but they didn't seem so pleased to see me. Roy, it's so sweet you're helping out the less fortunate. Ugh, these peasants! If only they knew the real me. To prove to Roy that I was so much better than those other girls the next day, I snuck my designer clothes to school to get changed. When I spotted Roy, I hurried over to dazzle him, but that annoying fangirl Maya interrupted us again. Nice try, new girl, but your knockoff clothes won't impress anyone. You shouldn't judge someone by their clothes. That's very kind of you, Roy. But we both know that only a Chanel girly like me would be a good match for you. Everyone started to make a fuss, but Roy just shooed them away to leave. Ugh, thanks to those wannabes, I'd missed my chance with him. After class, I changed back into my boring plain clothes, ready for the bus home. What is this tacky fabric? Suddenly, Roy passed by. Cute shirt. I think it suits you much better. There's nothing wrong with dressing down. It brings out one's natural beauty better. Wow, it seems that rich boy Roy wasn't a show-off. What a blessing in disguise this pretending to be poor was. Roy clearly liked me more this way, so I should keep it up. Once, I pushed a bike to the end of the street and waited for Roy to pass by, so I could make out it was broken and ask for a lift. It's definitely not because I don't know how to ride a bike. Over the next few days, I clung to Roy. I told him how I didn't know anyone at school yet, or where anything was, as an excuse to get him to take me to the canteen. But look at the food. Really? Are we supposed to eat this? Oh, we've never gotten to eat stuff like this at home. Looks yummy! Luckily, Roy felt sorry for me even more and just caringly explained the menu. The next day, I brought in my own lunchbox with Roy's favorite, mac and cheese, which obviously was made by my chef, but he doesn't need to know that. He clearly enjoyed it, but then commented, Adele, you shouldn't waste your money and effort on me like that. Please just spend it on yourself instead. Even though he was wealthy, he was so thoughtful of others. How come I'd never thought of things this way? On the weekend, I went to a fair my parents were sponsoring in a nearby town. I wandered off by myself and suddenly spotted a familiar face selling caramel apples with some kids. Oh no, Roy! What was he doing here? He couldn't see me all dressed up like this. Before I could dart away, his eyes locked directly on mine. Roy! Hello? Why are you looking at me so strangely? This dress. It's handmade. And, my mom found these shoes somewhere. Enough about me. Why are you here? Oh, I'm volunteering at an orphanage. The kids, they're the ones that grew these apples. Oh my god, could this guy be any cuter? Even though he's loaded, he's so down to earth and humble and he wants to make a difference. I really have to learn a lot from him. Later, I took the bus back to town with Roy. We continued chatting even after stepping off the bus, but then this convertible pulled up alongside us. Ugh, it was Bernie and Maya. Oh no, don't let her drag you down like that, baby. Where's your Rolls Royce? What's this? Isn't this Chanel's archive? Adele, are you? Yeah, right? This is a fake one. Now, please, leave. I grabbed Roy's arm and pulled him the opposite way. Adele, are you okay discrediting your image in front of Bernie like that? I mean, he's popular and rich. Everyone wants to impress him. I'm not that kind of social climber. He's such a conceited, bossy jerk. Unlike you. Roy seemed touched by my words, as he invited me to go to the grape farm with him next weekend. Okay, so I thought Roy had invited me here for some relaxation and fresh air. I didn't expect to be made to carry out tasks. This was probably his way of challenging me, and no chance I was going to fail it. The workers here are immigrants from different countries, but thanks to my extensive traveling, I know quite a bit of foreign languages, enough to ask them to show me what to do, and it just so happens that my parents are obsessed with vintage wines, so I know my Chardonnay from my Cabernet Sauvignon. Oh, these grapes will make a fine Malbec. N'est-ce pas, Pierre? Oh, I taught myself different languages and watched various documentaries to improve my skill set. It's nothing. Later, Roy needed to re-roof the barn, so he climbed up a ladder while I stayed below and passed him tools. But the ladder began to wobble, and he screamed at me to jump back. But instead, I stayed there and held out my arms to catch him. Are you okay? That was dangerous. Why didn't you step away? I couldn't watch you get hurt. Also, to have you falling for me would be everything I ever wanted. We rested in the corner, and that's when Roy told me that he liked me. I think you're one of a kind, but I don't want there to be secrets between us. I like you too, and that's true. We should have zero secrets. So, I want to come clean. My family's actually rich. Super rich. I'm sorry for not letting you know sooner. What about you, Roy? Do you have any secrets? Actually, my parents own this farm. Only the workers don't know about this, so please don't tell them. Aw, humble Roy. He's really the sweetest. He was also very understanding about the reason why I had to hide my true background. Finally, the gang leader of the robberies was caught. Things seemed to be back to normal, and this meant I could publicly go back to being me again. Everyone looked at me with different eyes. Only, Roy didn't seem all that impressed. When I invited him to my favorite restaurant, he told me he didn't like those stuffy places. Plus, he had too much work at the farm. I really wanted to go on a proper date with Roy, but I suppose just being with him was enough. So I agreed to help him out at the farm. As we waited for my chauffeur to pick us up, someone leaped out of a bush and snatched my gold necklace. As I gripped my bare neck in shock, Roy darted after them and grabbed it back. I noticed the robber say something to Roy before he fled. I later asked Roy about it, but he just shrugged it off. The next day at school, a woman in tatty clothes ran in, saying she urgently needed to find her son. When she saw Roy, she rushed towards him. "Oh, here you are! I thought something happened to you! Someone told me you were in trouble!" Everyone began chattering. "Roy, you're wealthy. Why don't you buy your mom some nice clothes?" He looked dumbfounded, then muttered, "I'm not rich. I lied." "What? Why? You always said money didn't matter, but you live in this facade?" Roy avoided my eyes, mumbled out a sorry, then led his mom outside. So this whole time, I didn't know who he truly was? Feeling hurt and deceived, I screamed out that it was over between us. My heart was cracked into two. This was horrible. Then I arrived home to see my parents frantic. Someone had sent them a threatening letter saying, "I will come when you least expect it and take what I want." My parents were terrified that something bad would happen to me, so they hired bodyguards to protect me. The next day, a whole squad showed up, and to my utter shock, amongst them was Roy. "What are you doing here? What's your scheme?" I replied to the advert. "I didn't know it was for you. Please, Adele, I need this job. I could really do with the money." I hated that he'd lied to me, but I couldn't be that heartless. So I agreed that he could be my bodyguard, as long as he knew his limit. Having Roy follow me everywhere really sucked. So when Bernie appeared and asked me out, even though I didn't particularly like the jerk, I agreed to it. It felt good to dress up and be taken to fancy restaurants, and it felt even better to see how raging Roy looked. On my way to the restroom, Roy stopped me. "Bernie's not who you think he is. Please stay away from him." I put his words down to jealousy and shrugged him off me. If anything, what he said made me even more determined to get closer to Bernie. So when he suggested I throw a party at my mansion for my 16th birthday and invite all my friends, I immediately agreed. The party was great. It's been a while since I was able to have fun and forget about the recent shenanigan for a moment, thanks to Bernie. "Wait a minute, bae. I've prepared a big surprise for you." The lights went out, and I waited, wondering what it could be. But it's been a little too long. I called out for Bernie, but nothing. I didn't hear from Roy either. Realizing something was wrong, I found my way inside the house and was suddenly grabbed by someone. "Shh, let me show you something." He led me to the garage and I caught Bernie trying to start the supercar. Next to him was a bag full of priceless jewelry. "That was fast, but I didn't come here alone." "Yeah, but your teammates are already taken care of." Then Roy opened the garage door and the cops rushed in to arrest Bernie. Outside, I saw a couple of other robbers being led away in handcuffs. You again? You can act all high and mighty all you want, but you're no different from me. It turns out, even after the leader was caught, the robbers gang was still alive and well, and Bernie was a member. He only pretended to be rich to fool his victims and provide intel to the gang. Knowing my true background, he's the one who stole my necklace. But the mission failed because Roy stopped him. As revenge, Bernie leaked information about Roy's family. I should have exposed your rich kid facade sooner. I let you off several times out of respect for our close friendship, but you still wouldn't leave me alone. Close friend? Who falsely accused me of theft then? As he was being led away, I suddenly remembered something. What about the letter? Why did you do such a stupid, unnecessary thing? Bernie looked confused and insisted he didn't have time to write insignificant things like letters. It was me. I wrote it. I knew Bernie wouldn't stop trying to steal from you, and I didn't want you to get hurt. So I sent the warning letter for your family to take cover. Roy walked off, but I went after him. What about some accusation between you and Bernie? Is it the reason why you have to live a fake life? Roy explained he and Bernie used to be close friends. Roy was always poor when Bernie's family was a little better off. Roy discovered that Bernie was involved in some petty thefts, so Roy tried to make him stop, but he only took revenge by accusing Roy. Although there was no specific evidence, due to his poor family background, people always assumed that he'd done it. So when Roy transferred schools, he decided to pretend to be rich, so no one falsely accused him again. Oh, my poor Roy. Ugh, why is finding my balance so tricky? Ouch! Roy helped me up and checked I wasn't hurt. You don't have to do this. Just live your life as comfortably as before. Nope, I want to do this. This way I can cycle to see you whenever I want. A flashy car or fancy outfit doesn't change my value as a person, but working with you felt good. And you know what? Even though you're not as well dressed as when we first met, I still like you a lot.